Let's move from drugs to brighter things. The long list for the 2025 Nigeria Prize for Literature, as you know, is out. 11 great books written by 11 brilliant writers. Now, recently, the long-listed authors were hosted at the annual CORA NLNG book party. Enjoy this.
In February 2025, the Advisory Board for the Nigeria Prize for Literature, sponsored by Nigeria LNG, called for entries for this year's edition of the prize, marking the start of the annual competition. The genre for this year's $100,000 prize is prose fiction. Following the receipt of 252 entries in April, 11 authors were long-listed in July. To celebrate this achievement, the Committee for Relevant Art, CORA, in collaboration with LNNG, hosts the long-listed authors, their friends, families, and literature enthusiasts to the 16th edition of the CORA NPL Book Party.
While we produce energy to support power in homes, we also believe stories power hope. In the past 20 years, the Literature Prize has ignited dreams. It sharpens critical thinking and inspired a new generation of Nigerian writers, now stepping onto the global literary stage. The Nigeria Prize for Literature continues to give visibility, validation, and encouragement to stories that might otherwise be unheard, and the world is thereby reminded that Nigeria too has voices that matter.
The long-listed authors, joining both virtually and in person, share insights into their works.
It's something to grieve, someone that you are close to and that you were and that you had a good connection with. But when we lose people that, let's say, we have fought with or that we haven't spoken to in a while or are estranged from, that's a different kind of grief. So I really wanted to explore that, and that in a way is one of the things that's explored in the story.
It just reminded me of when my mom lost my dad. So the grief on the faces of the people captured in the papers was very touching, and I decided to write about the insecurity going on in the country that has persisted, till present day. So yeah, then I wrote about a girl who died, and that was just like the beginning of the novel. So it started with a short story.
At the end of the day, we thrive, we strive, and when it's all over, when the race is over, nobody cares about, what your race is, what your gender. Nobody really cares about that, right? We just end up being bones. Yeah. So that was kind of like the trigger, to do a story that touches on identity, to do a story that questions our humanity, to do a story that questions what borders and boundaries really mean to all of us.
I am an Anang person, a proud Anang person. There are like 40 other tiny minority groups that were in Biafra. We suffered a lot. Biafra came into minority lands for 8 months in some places. It was very bad. Nobody knew what we went through. So it's become very, very painful. And I thought, okay, this is something I may be able to, to handle.
Last year, I came across the marking report which tells a story about an Anglican priest that physically and sexually molested kids in the UK. And in the process, he did something called baptism. He drowned some of the kids and killed them. So the church kind of protected him. So he fled down to Africa. So while he was in Africa, he moved around a bit and settled in Zimbabwe, repeating the same act. He fled again and fled to Zimbabwe, then later moved to South Africa, and that was the last everybody heard of him. But the families were seeking for justice. So imagine something that happened in the mid-70s, and they didn't get justice until 2024. Wow. So by the time they got justice in 2024, and they found the man, they were supposed to extradite him back to the UK, he died mysteriously. So that is what spurred the idea of me telling the story about a young boy in Petrichor, Jola, who got a scholarship into school, and with the hopes that he's going to do great in life. But surprisingly, he runs into the hands of an Anglican reverend who molests him and all that. I really want everybody to get the book and read it.
It is necessary to tell an African mythology or African stories for the sake of for future generations. I live here in the UK. I've lived through United States. I've lived through the United Kingdom with children, with all 5 of my children who do not even understand or do not yet have that knowledge about our rich African culture. Yeah. And I believe that for us to be able to keep safe it for the next generation, even the future generation and present generation, is through African storytelling.
I think I've been lucky in the sense that when I'm writing, my characters tend to write themselves, and all I am is just a conduit for them. Because I think that when you're not writing your characters truthfully, it shows on paper. It shows when the readers are reading them. They don't read like human beings. So yeah, one of the biggest challenges was just writing characters that I cannot stand.
Everything in the book is real. It actually did happen. The Biafran war against Nigeria was one of the major conflicts of the 20th century. Yeah. And I think that it deserves to have its own war fiction.
I wanted to explore my 2 homes. I'm half Nigerian, I'm half British, but I'm also fully Nigerian and fully British. And I wanted to explore identity, belonging, class, culture, but mainly prejudice and privilege, because I've experienced both of these things in both my homes.
Essentially, I wanted to write a universal story, and I think Babies is a universal story. It's a woman standing on the precipice of adulthood, questioning her purpose, which could take place anywhere over the world, anywhere around the world, but also in an unfamiliar setting, and thereby deal with some of the issues that people growing up in these communities would face.
It became the story of Yeri Malalo, who remembers suddenly that he had been killed twice before, and then he decides, you know what, I am full of hate for the people who do this things to me, and I'm going to go find them and do horrible things to them. And then he goes and he discovers that not everything is as black as white as he thought at first. So for me, it's just a story that is exploring that relationship between love and hate and the complexities of all the things that go between the two diametrically opposed phenomena.
In his closing remarks, CORA Board Chair Kayode Aderioku celebrates the authors on reaching the milestone.
Writing a book is not a spectator sport. You have to lock yourself up, isolate yourself. Sometimes, occasionally, even starve yourself for your brain to work. So for them to even put their thoughts together, put it on paper or put it on the computer and come up with a wholesome, credible product, I think they should be celebrated.
Attendees also speak on the quality and depth of the long-listed works.
Listening to the authors, all of them speak about the story, I can say categorically, as I was pointing out to the person next to me, that these writers are wonderful people. They've done exceedingly excellent. Why did I say that? they were able to capture the reality, the essences of the Nigerian society.
The authors, their writings are fluid and interesting. I walked into a bookshop and bought about 5 different books on the long list, and I tend to read them. The books they are what's been on the list, because when you read them, the fluidity, the experience of the writer, and the writing style, it's what's been on the long list.
The short list of 3 authors will be announced shortly, before a final winner is unveiled at the Grand Award Night on October 10th.